Thank you, everyone. Thanks for attending. This year's event, I think it grows bigger and bigger, so we're really excited to be here. We were talking about getting a mobile technology panel because we hear a lot about it these days, and it brings the construction, the design phase to the construction site. So it's really important to bridge, to link to fill the gap between the design and construction. So, these days the construction industry is really complex, fast-pacing and everything. So technology and virtual design really helps, bring new possibilities together. So, mobile technology is really key for construction performance. So those are the subjects we're gonna talk about today. We're gonna exchange about why mobile technologies are so important for the construction. We'll also talk about how to access the information and perhaps modify it in the field. And validation of reality versus planning. Is it important for us? So every one of us will be doing a 3-minute presentation of what they do in their company, talking about mobile technology. And then after that, we'll have a couple of questions and talk about it. Okay? So first one to come up here is Caesar from Autodesk. Caesar reminds me of what Jerry told me. Sorry, Jerry. Oh, no, Bruce told me. So everyone's going to come on stage. So next is John from AECO, and then we'll stand up one after the other. Lauren from what? Wait a second. Bridget. Ernest from Shape Trace. And Brian from Geoslam. All right.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Fast and furious. Number one, this presentation is available through the download. So like Bruce said, get the app, get the presentation. It helps me to go through this in an expedited manner. I'm from Autodesk. My name's Caesar West. I'm based here in Toronto. And we are an old company. We've been around since 1982. So you should know that if you don't know Autodesk, for some of the owners that are out there. But what I'm specializing in to talk today is construction, mobile technology with my group of cohorts here. Going through this, I think we can all relate to this domino of waste, and this is addressed specifically within our mobile technology. You know that from time being, we used to create documents from CAD, Revit. They could be fraught with errors and omissions, which creates this domino of waste effect, right? It goes all the way down like that. But it's better to know when you have a train wreck faster, sooner than later, right? So this is where I feel the mobile technology really comes into play. So when you do use ACAD or Revit or whatever else and you make errors and omissions, it's better to use a mobile technology in a cloud to let you help to get through these RFIs, to minimize delays and reduce overtime. Because at the end of the day, when you have these things happening inside of projects, you increase your costs and decrease your margins. So within an Autodesk platform of cloud services, BIM 360 is just that. It is a platform which hosts a multitude of services. So I'm asking you to download the presentation because here's the list of services as a platform that includes mobile, iPhone, iPad, Surface tablets for you to expedite any kind of project information early in the project design cycle all the way over to the very end for turnover and commissioning. Okay? Docs, glue, layout, plan, field, building ops. Here's a little snippet of what they all look like, but you can find more information at autodesk.com. This is a snippet of what the BIM 360 field looks like on your iPad or iPhone. You have the model, which is exposing all of these sheets. These are all the sheets of that model. The moral of the story with some of our BIM 360 services, you do not need to make a PDF file to do markup and revision and content like comments and issues. The Autodesk platform exposes the native Revit file for you to do that. That's a big issue. So on the mobile platforms, you're looking at the real RVT file or DWG file. And this is docs. So for example, in docs, this is when the contract really is underway. The signature has taken place, the contract documents are up there, and now the contractor has some more issues based on revisions and requests for information. Here is plan. It's a lean planning modular, and in this case here, you can keep track of the PPC score on lean plan. So when you commit yourself to a task, like let's say we commit ourselves to do that task, it either becomes complete or incomplete, and root causes are determined. So BIM 360 Plan is complementary to larger platforms like Microsoft Project and Primavera. This is BIM 360 Glue. Again, that mobile web viewer or mobile or web viewer for the models for clash and coordination. This is layout. This is very similar to what we heard earlier today. Take the model out to the field and use the survey instrument to find objects in the field or track back the data as needed. And of course, we all know what that is, right? That is the manual set of the equipment information for the owners that most people get, York Region, City of Toronto. But what we talk about today is the assets, and I'm glad I heard this at the beginning of the whole presentations today. The assets are what we're really driving, and field, in addition to building ops for maintenance and operation, is all mobile technology, and it's not portable data, it's accessing data. So the maintenance handbooks, the specs, the model are all accessible through that mobile platform. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. My name is John Barkwell with AECO. I'm the director of our professional services. I work with our customers around the adoption of AECO, particularly around our building information modeling capabilities. I'll talk a little bit more about here in a second. I wanted to mention that we've seen and have heard a lot about technologies and processes, and just to kind of dial it back, I think it's important to kind of understand that what's right for one organization may not be right for another, but we definitely are looking to kind of push the needle. Everybody here is kind of an agent of change and a thought leader in your particular industry or trade. And the concept is that we're moving the industry from kind of manual processes, paper-based workflows and spreadsheets, from siloed systems, emails and FTP sites where things aren't linked together. There's not an association. And so what we're seeing now is that in the industry is that organizations are moving to more of an formative and now even more advanced phase where we're starting to work in a more common data environment, more of a neutral environment. There's an analogy that I always use is, right, there's a lot of tools in the toolbox that we use depending on the trade that you're working in, right? But it's very important that everybody kind of work together in a cohesive fashion. And that's part of the message of AECO is that we're a cloud-based solution. We're driving innovation into what's interesting that we're starting to see with our customers is the analytics capabilities that we're able to do, some benchmarking around project performance, right, of how much time trades are spending within a particular area of a job site. And then ultimately, the holy grail, right, of BIM is, Cesar mentioned, is in operations and maintenance, right, for that, and you've heard some of the presentations today, is that complete life cycle, to asset information management. And that's the direction that the industry is going. At AECO, we provide, as I mentioned, a cloud, mobile-based solution that allows you to manage all of your project information. We're very neutral, part of the Building Smart Alliance and the common data environment that I mentioned, to allow you to supply your documents and drawings and information into a neutral file format. AECO is traditionally used throughout the entire project lifecycle. So from early days in planning and feasibility studies through the bidding process. So we have a bidding component to AECO as well. On the design side, so being able to review 2D as well as 3D model information, or work with a particular tool, a vertical tool that might serve that area. We've got customers that are using BIM 360 along with AECO to manage that process. And then during the construction, again, we have a native field application to be able to use within the tool. But certainly if there's a field commissioning tool that you're more comfortable using, open APIs into AECO to allow you to exchange that information. Really what we're about is a records management solution in the cloud that's neutral. And then over to the handover. Last thing I want to talk about, just a customer profile, the Adelaide Hospital project. One of the things I wanted to point out is if you look at the usage around organizations as well as users, that's typically what we see on our platform because there's no, it's an open platform for everybody to be able to work on. There's no limitation to file size, users, so we get a lot of adoption. And what's really important to that is you get visibility. There's transparency across the project for what's going on with that. There's information that's exposed to the entire project team. And then look at the documents and mail items, a lot of transactions. And you can actually do reporting to kind of simulate what's going on and do predictive analysis. If there are bottlenecks that are coming ahead of time, you can kind of report on that. So a quick overview of AECO. We are back in the vendor. If you want more information, we'd love to talk to you.
Hi everyone, my name's Lauren. I'm from a company locally actually called Bridget. So we're a pretty young company. We are about 3 years old and started in Kitchener-Waterloo. I studied civil engineering at school. I was working for a general contractor as I graduated, and the first thing that I noticed when I showed up on site for my first day of work was that I was handed a clipboard, a piece of paper, and a pen. And I said, this is crazy. There's so much technology available. Why aren't we using this on site? So my business partner, Mallory, and I in the photo there started talking about this. We both grew up in the construction industry, and we said, okay, what can we do to bring technology to site in a really easy way? And one of the things that we noticed that caused so many of the delays on site and so much of the headache was around deficiency management. So we noticed that typically on site, a project manager, let's say, was walking through the building. They were writing down on a piece of paper all of the deficiencies, all of the incomplete work, noting all of that on pen and paper, bringing it back to their desk, entering that into a spreadsheet or into an email, and then trying to send that all out to different trades. So we said, okay, what if we brought the smartphone into that and actually streamlined that whole process? We could save time and money on the job site and keep it really lightweight and really simple. So that's what we did. And pretty much how it works is it's an app that you would use on your phone and on your tablet. There's also a web platform. So if you're a project manager, you can go to site, you can pull out your device, you can take photos of anything that you come across that needs to be resolved. You can assign it directly to the appropriate subcontractor or contact on site, and they're notified of that work. They're able to check it off once they've completed it, and all of that approval is automated. So essentially it saves a ton of that manual time that's otherwise spent within the whole project team. And overall, we can save a ton of time, a ton of headache, and get that project closed sooner rather than later. But the main sort of thing that we focused on was keeping it really simple. We know that projects are insanely busy all the time. People don't have resource available to onboard these new technologies as quickly as they'd like to. So we kept it easy enough that you can pick it up, you can use it within 5 minutes. There's really no training or anything involved. And being a local company, we've had the pleasure of working with tons of amazing Canadian companies. Right now, we've grown from just myself and my business partner who started the company about 3 years ago, and we're over 30 employees now. And so it's been a really amazing ride. And so far, we've had great customer traction, not only in Canada, but across the US as well. And people are really loving that sort of simplistic edge where the whole team can kind of get on board right away and then overall save that amazing time and money throughout the rest of the project. And that's all. Thank you.
All right, so my name is Ernest Yap, and my company is ShapeTrace. We're even a younger company. We're based here in Toronto, and my background's in survey engineering. So we develop augmented reality software to help field teams prevent errors and basically build right the first time. In other words, we build Pokemon Go for construction. So today, I want to talk about the uses and challenges of augmented reality in construction. AR has been touted as the next big thing in construction. I think that's because field teams now can see what they need to build before they start and detect variances between BIM models and real world throughout every install, like continuously. And it's all with a mobile device, right? So a little bit about our market. These are from McKinsey, and you can see it, big issues that's happening in our industry. $160 billion of waste, according to, I guess, Fortune magazine. And the big reason they say is because of coordination, right? Poor coordination between the field and office teams. And it's really driving up all this extra waste, I guess. And it comes down to three things. 2D drawings are inaccurate, outdated, difficult, right? They're incorrect. Installations cause 36% of your waste, and there's no easy way to update the teams. So McKinsey says that there's a bunch of solutions, but three they named is 5D BIM, high precision survey, and digital collaboration, right, and mobile. So what does this mean? What does this mean for the field worker? Well, it means that, well, for the field guys, they need a way to prevent errors, and the way to do it is through location-based visuals and also dynamic updating. So assisting in the build, doing error detection, and dynamic updates, right? And so AR is an interesting way to do this because it combines all three of these things into one platform, right? Digital world and your real world are aligned. Mobile devices are becoming your surveying tool, and of course, linked to the cloud, you get dynamic updates. So, most important thing, all these things are linked by geographical location. So, I wonder if this is going to work. Is this a video? I guess let's press go. All right, so this is the ability to do indoor navigation, like indoor GPS, where you're actually walking through your BIM model. They are linked in one, right? And that's the core to this tech. You're walking in your BIM model. There's a way to choose what levels you are on to look at, I guess, plan views and so on and so forth. You can toggle on the layers that all you guys work hard to make. Whether it's structural, architectural layers, and you can populate this as you wish to add more information, right? To separate this out for more detail. And one cool thing is then you can also pull all that information out. So this is all for the field team, right? So you can pull out information that you've populated in your BIM models and give that to the field crew, right? So in this case, it could be as simple as just information you put in, but maybe it comes down to manuals and things like this. And then there's also the ability to tag it, like doing just adding reports. This is essentially like finding Pokemon. You're adding a tag to a location, and then a tag to something, and that location connected issue can then be. It tags your BIM model, and it also tags your 2D plans. So we just use IFC, and just like Pokemon, you can leave a lure, so other people who come across this can see this issue that you left. I think I'm coming up close. So, all right. So some of the challenges oh, by the way, you can also do some 3D scanning. So the same tech, again, can be used to do 3D scanning. So I'll just move on because I think I'm coming close. So these are all linked through Navisworks, through IFC, right? Even your BIM, your point clouds are directly imported into Navisworks, so you don't have to spend 2 or 3 days georeferencing the whole thing and throwing it into your model. So some of the challenges is that the environment is dirty, dark, and dangerous. It is the hardest AR environment, and we figured that out the hard way. It is actually the worst case scenario because things are always moving. Also, in terms of usage of tech, there's no connectivity a lot of times, so you have to rely on your device being the pusher of all this, basically the game engine that we're running. And then one thing that we're running into is that we have to get buy-in from the field side, right? Because this is a tool for them. If they don't like it, then they're not going to use it. So I guess I just wanted to close by saying that that construction, one thing that somebody brought up was construction productivity is low, but I was thinking about that like over the years, and maybe it's because the field side never could take advantage of computers in the digital revolution, basically until now, and I think our panel today represents the way for construction to be actually leaders in tech adoption. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Brian Lake from Point Cloud Solutions, and we're the Canadian distributor of this GeoSlam scanner. So I actually get to have a prop. I have my scanner here. It's very portable and mobile, and it scans at a 30-meter range while you move. So you can walk anywhere you like with this, and it references all of the data points, 43,000 data points per second, relative to surface elements that it maps. Okay. So I brought you some pictures since you guys should be able to see this countdown timer. It adds a new dimension to this. A picture like this, you can walk through a building, like this is one floor of a house, and it references itself all the way through that. So there's no setup, you just walk through it, and anyone can use it. In fact, in some mines where we were using it, the surveyors started using it, and then very quickly the miners started using it themselves to take the scans in the mine shafts to monitor the depth of boring that they were doing. You can see in this slide, we have a house. One of our customers walked around his house and then mapped the whole first floor, up the stairs, mapped the second floor, and you can see, if you take the top off the roof, you can see all the features inside on the second floor that it mapped there. Now, I didn't do this one, GeoSlam did this one, but that's Opera House that they walked through and then did a solid model from. It uses, as I said, the algorithms that do this SLAM processing that map these surface elements, they come from CSIRO, which is the Australian equivalent of our NRC, and they licensed it to a company in England, GeoSlam, that builds this scanner. And there I am, Brian Lake at Point Cloud Solutions. I have 49 seconds left, so I'll tell you that we also have a new dot product line coming from Boston that is a different set. Some of you might find very interesting because it allows you to share the scans that you do through an iPhone app with other people that are in remote locations or back at the office. That's all I'm going to say about that. Thanks very much, and my scanner's here if anyone wants to see it. Thanks.
All right, wow, a lot of good stuff. I'm Christian, I work from BIMtrack. BIMtrack is a product that was created by BIM1. So the good thing is that it's BIM consulting services, people doing BIM every day that created a tool to help them fill the gaps and be more efficient for model coordination, accessing the data, giving the opportunity for the owner to access the data on a cell phone anywhere. So in the improved workflow, everything is centered around the cloud. So and it's data driven. So model coordination is done with standard tools. It's published in BIMtrack directly from the tools from Navisworks. or using the BCF, because BIMtrack is based on open BIM standards. So we use the BIM collaboration format from Building Smart. We also use the IFC format, the Industry Foundation format from Building Smart, because we want to link all of those solutions together, because that's how the market is evolving. Some people are using Tekla for structure, others are using Revit for architectures, and we want to make sure that they can communicate. So they all connect in the cloud, and it centralizes the communications. It's all about communication. I don't know for you, but I have so many emails every day that I can be behind really fast. So centralizing communication, eliminating emails, and centers everything around tasks and not around an email. So you can track issues through OpenBIM format, having the 3D viewer, access your information anywhere, because it's web-based. Plus the add-ins for Revit and Navisworks, but it's also a web-based interface. So you can, and it has a mobile version. So you want to use it on your iPhone, no problem. You want to use it on a tablet, you can access it anywhere. So that's how we think mobility, helps teams work on projects. So you can attach files, have discussions. It's like, sometimes I like to call it like a little Facebook for the construction industry. So we are OpenBIM. We're linking all of those softwares using the BCF link. Further we go, we're adding new add-ins, but we started with the top one used in North America, the Autodesk products. So BIMtrack is web-based. It has a responsive design. Responsive design means that you can adapt the screen. It always adapts the icons, the text. It's never overlapping. It's in context, so you don't have to quit your system. If you're working in Revit, you can access all of the information. It's there. But if you prefer to work on the web browser and the web viewer, you also have access to all of the issues and the comments and all that. So that's connectivity. That's mobility. So you don't have to be in the same room today. You don't have to have an office with everybody's in the same office, and you don't have to have meetings every week just to make sure that everybody understood. So that's how we think at BIMtrack the mobility takes place. So that's it for my speech. So what we're going to do next is we're going to talk about it a little bit. I'll get back to my place. While I get back there, think about it. I want to ask you, well, those who want to answer, what mobility really means to you, and specifically on mobility, being mobile with your product, All right. Who wants to?
Was that a question, Christian?
What it means?
Yeah, it's on.
Oh, it's on now? Okay. Tricked me. So what mobility means to you? For us, mobility, it's connectivity. Is it mobility being able to work from the field every time? Is offline mode is really, really important, or connectivity with wireless technology has to be there? What are the important aspects of mobility for you? Who wants to go first?
I mean, I can say from my experience, the user experience needs to be consistent, right? Whether you're looking at it from a web interface or a mobile interface, that it needs to be very consistent and certainly needs to be friendly to the people in the field to be able to access the information whenever they need it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've kind of talked about this in different situations. For every, I don't know what the exact number is, but it's an old figure. So I'll just throw out a general number here. For every one person that creates data, there's typically 5 or more, maybe like 10 people that need to touch that data, see the data, access it for whatever reason, right? So you have people that create data, and you have people that want to access it. And, I've been in groups like this where somebody says, who doesn't have a cell phone in their pocket? Who doesn't have a smartphone in their pocket? Put your hands up, right? So now that you have a mobile device, you all can touch the data. That's how important mobile data is. That's why
products like social media really catch hold is because now more people have access to cheap technology. As much as iPhones are probably pretty expensive, it's relatively cheap, but it's accessible to everybody. And that's one of the biggest things that I think mobile is important.
Yeah, I can just add one quick point to that. So we heard from our customer actually just a couple weeks ago, and it's a quote that I think really sums this idea of mobility up. And he said, if it doesn't work for the field, it doesn't work. And we kind of thought about that, and we're like, you're right. You know, in construction, so much of the work and everything that's going on is in the field, and if the solution isn't mobile, it's not going to work in the field, and so you can't expect that to come back to the office. So I think we've seen in construction a lot of advanced technology really for the office point of view, but as soon as you get to the site, just because we're on this sort of new wave of mobile technology, that sort of trend is just starting. But again, it's focusing on, okay, what applications are going to work for which groups of people, and then in construction we're a bit unique in that we have to serve many different types of users, and so mobility really tackles the field aspect.
Okay.
For me, mobility means everything you said plus location, which I think is lacking from a lot of our, especially our technologies right now in the field. There's no location linked to any of your information, even location linked to your data, right? So for us, AR it means to have the benefit of connectivity, have the benefit of mobile, plus have it's all about location for us, location linked information. And then, of course, dynamic updating of that information so that everybody's on the same page.
Sure. Well, I'm not sure what I should say about this. Our scanner always works on site. That's what it does. I can see the value of our new set with the dot product that shares that with remote locations, or however you want to look at it. You can access it with a phone application, which I think is a great thing. But as far as the scanner goes, hey, we produce a point cloud that comes.
Do it on the phone,
No,
probably.
No, no, it's big and you have to take it around on a little stick or something.
Yeah. I think it should be only one truth, though. One, so you can't have a tool that is only for field in the field and a tool that is for the office. So they got to be connected. So one point or the other, it has to be connected. Is it live or it's syncing afterwards? It has to be connected. And I understand what you said. It has to come to the field, but I think also it has to the part in the office has to be done right. So we all get a link together, all of those things. So that connection between the office and the field I think has to be really, really strong. So So my next question, do you think an app is better, or a solution, an app or web, or what is the best thing for people to have? Is it I know mobile web technology like web browser is challenging when you're not connected to internet. Why do you think an app or the web is better for mobility? I'll answer it for myself. I think web is a great thing. It has its challenges because you need to be connected and you can't really work offline. But the web browser is better because it's uniform. You always have the same experience. You're not jumping from web to app and to desktop app. So in my opinion, I think if the browser are getting better and better at it, I think having a uniform tool that works on a browser is best. I don't know if you.
Okay, I guess I don't really care how you get your information as long as you get it, right? I think that's really the bottom line. So
Okay.
whether your office team needs it on the web, whether they have mobile app, whether the field team probably is mobile, right? I guess it doesn't matter. You just get your data and go do your job, and I think that's really what it comes down to.
It's not important as long as you get the information. They're gonna adapt to their. Okay.
Well, I'm not sure if it's adapt. It's just they need their information, so whatever means is easiest for them to get it.
Okay.
Then that's what's important. So.
Yeah, I think there's like this dangerous line of thinking right now that just throwing something into an app is just going to be this amazing thing, and so an app isn't this like end like end-all kind of cure. So I think you really have to think, what am I trying to solve? If I'm just going to take this really clunky piece of software and throw it into an app, I can't expect someone who's running around on site to pick it up and use it. It's just not the right experience. It's not what they're looking for. So I think regardless of whether it's web or app or whatever it is, doesn't really matter as long as the use case that it's designed for matches up with what you've actually built.
Yeah. From our perspective, it's all about getting the data to the field. That's one of the things. It's about usability. So we're talking about a generation that's my age, maybe older, that's still in the field. It needs to be able to be easy to use. It needs to be on a bigger format for people. And I can officially include myself into this group that are having trouble seeing things at close vision. It needs to be accessible and usable by those people and not scare them off. So that's one generation.
We call that fat finger friendly.
Well, there's fat finger, and then there's bad eye sequences as well. So there's that piece. But as far as whether it's app or not, we know from experience it's really expensive. This is like the wild, wild west of what it used to be like 30 years ago. Because Autodesk used to program AutoCAD on about 5 different computer type softwares. And we said, screw it, we're going to spend our money on Windows. So that's why we're on a Windows-based platform for the most part, right? We're the same thing right now. We build them as apps on iOS. And we're just starting to see some possibilities of having it on Android. But we're trying to put our best bang for the buck on an app to keep it simple, to keep our programming costs down and concise. But, you know, in the end, you've got the fat finger, but then you also have the people on the backside of the office that want the data. Like, how good is our project performing? And I think this is when the web interface comes in, because the web interface is desktop, and you want the dashboards, and you want the numbers, but in the industry, in the field, you want the iPad and tactility.
Great, great. So with all of those accessing the data, accessing the model, you think that we're going to see paper disappearing and drawings disappearing because you don't need drawings, you have access to the 3D, you have access to the data. You know, you think we're going to see that in a close future?
Yes. Oh, did I say that? Yes.
Well, not only that, I mean, we're starting to see, you know, the traditional orthogonal sheets, right, to incorporate it with isometrics and 3Ds, right, to communicate design intent.
Hypermodeling.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you think that the market will react to that, and in 5 years there won't be any more papers? Do you think? You got to be optimistic at one point.
It's
right?
officially. I think it's officially started.
It started, but we need to have everybody on it.
I know a few people within the audience here that are targeting that have already kind of proven that to a limited degree. But the biggest stakeholders, like the public utilities, they are not going to necessarily move, right, today. But the progressive people that can control their destinies.
It's progressing. Personally, I've seen more and more connected sites, with tablets and everything from in the last 2 to 3 years. So, we can say it's progressing really fast. Yeah. So what's the information?
I think Lauren is getting rid of a lot of paper, right?
Yeah, I think we're definitely seeing, paper slowly go away, but I don't think it's going to be an overnight transformation. I think even with the work that we do, we still see how valuable those paper reports are on site. That's what people are used to. It's what they expect to see. And so for us to go in and say, no more paper, from now on, you're just going to use this digital method, like that's never going to work, and we are fully aware of that. So I think you kind of have to look at it in these kind of baby steps where it's, okay, what are we going to do to fix this one little piece? And whether or not that alleviates the use of paper doesn't really matter. Does that actually make the system overall more efficient, more effective? And then I think over time, you're going to see paper disappear, but I don't think it's going to be this kind of like overnight kind of miracle that some people I think are sort of expecting with technology. I think there's just so many moving pieces that you kind of have to look at it in these step-by-step sort of functions.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Even though we're doing AR visualizations 3D, we show it to some field people, and they're like, I want my PDFs. So it's like, well, I'm showing you what the office team sees. Like, no, I want my PDFs, right? So even now, we're building tools to like, well, why don't we take all your contract documents, location link them, and then you put yourself on the plan view, and it pops up all the plan views and section views that you need, right? But we're getting that request because I guess we can't replace. If we try to replace, we're toast. So it's supplementary.
what I like about that is that it's optimizing processes or thinking about how we do it and optimizing it. That's one way forward, I think. What's the best thing to access from the field? Is it drawings? Is it, I don't know, information? What do you think has the most value to bring to the field? Punch list? I don't know, manuals, design specs?
You're bringing what you need. It's based on my persona. I want to click on the folder and access the information that's relevant to me and not search through all the stuff that's up there.
All right. Any other thoughts about that? I have other questions.
Do we have a question from the audience that do you want to throw at us?
Oh, yeah, good idea. If someone has a question, don't hesitate to jump in.
So
There's
it's all about mobile.
mics over there. There's a mic there, if you want. Yeah. Please state your name so we can...
Yep, it's on.
Good afternoon. My name is Arif Alama from Crosslinks Transit Solutions. I wanted to ask the panelists, they talked about all of the different mobile technologies that are being developed for construction. But is safety a concern during development of those technologies? Because the mindset of people using mobile, for example, a phone, is different from other tools that they use in the construction site. And could it possibly increase job site accidents? And if so, what measures could be taken to prevent those? Thank you.
Good question. It makes me think of Pokemon Go. You know, you look for Pokemon on your website.
Well, I guess both of us
Can be dangerous.
come from survey, right? Yeah. So you could probably answer some of these questions. For me, like the idea of putting on a headset on a construction worker right now, I think they'll freak out. So that's why we have things on tablets. And even then, like initially when we were starting out, holding a tablet in front of you, as some of you saw yesterday on tour, it can be quite dangerous. So, I mean, these things have the built-in safes. And, you know, people on your sites are smart enough to know, like, that's BS. I'm not going to use that because it's dangerous. How about you guys? You and your survey?
Right. Well, specifically, the scanner that we sell doesn't have a display screen on it, so you really should be just watching where you're going. But we do find, I think, that in some ways it might be safer. In some situations, people are mounting it on the front of an ATV or a toolcat in a mine or that sort of thing as they drive a path. You can drone mount it. And so I think in some ways that's not more dangerous than what they're already doing.
So probably just a good briefing, say health and safety briefing before going on site with the tools is great.
Yeah, I kind of look at it from the other end, right? That this adds a safety layer to it, right? Because we do have these wearables and mobile devices, right, that are tracking people on job sites, right? They can give a warning that if someone gets too close to a particular area, you know, things like that. I mean, that's the things that we're starting to see in some of the studies that we're seeing coming out of some of the universities.
Great, great. Well, maybe one last question or one last thing to say, because I think we're done with the time. So if somebody else has a question, it's time.
Come on, one more question.
Or somebody from the panel.
Apparently, I'll be able to buy you alcohol at the end of the day if you ask one more question.
Oh my God.
Oh no! I'm going to take your drink away after.
All right. Well, thank you very much to everybody. It's really interesting. I think it's the future of construction. Technology in construction is really great. So thank you all for the presentation today, and continue your great work. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.